Hey, how's everybody doing on this lovely, I guess you'll be listening to this on Monday morning. So I hope your Monday morning is going well. Welcome back to Totally Unexpected. My name is Chavie Brooke, your very excited host. We have such a fun guest. I'm so excited for you to hear this episode. The guest is none other than Adele Beiny, known as the wonderful face behind the brand Life's Looking Good. Maybe many of you have heard of her. If you have, you're going to be able to hear about Adele on, in my opinion, a much deeper level, which I'm so excited about. And if you haven't had the experience of or know Adele, you'll get to know her, and in the best way. Adele is a lifestyle creator. She kind of does it all: beauty, life, just living life elevated, travel, beauty, wellness, everything you can think of. She's a mother of two. And what I kind of think sets Adele apart is her savvy, honest approach to everything that she talks about. She's going to tell you like it is. She's going to share with you her thoughts. She's going to tell you how to elevate your life and live your life to the fullest and the best in the aesthetic space. So you can follow her wellness experiments, her traveling adventures, latest beauty treatments, and enjoy all of that through her humor, her confidence, and her fun conversations. Adele is somebody that I got to know over the years and really appreciate what she brings to the table. I loved this conversation because we definitely got to go a little bit beneath the surface and talk about what life is like for a creator, for an influencer. Adele has a very kind of interesting journey of how she even ended up online. She was first in the beauty space as a makeup artist, and then a real estate agent, and then in the med beauty world and aesthetics and florals. And all of that kind of led her to having a passion in sharing the way she lives her life. And what started off as a hobby really turned into a brand because people were seeking her advice and her thoughts. And with that, created this brand as we know today called Life's Looking Good. And then you're going to hear in this episode just the trajectory of how we live life, how we have to be in tune with the seasons that we're in. So maybe she landed in the beauty, the social media space, and now maybe he's pulling back a little. And it's just the journey of life and knowing when to push and pull in your space and in what you're doing in life. And I just think that there's so much to appreciate and learn, and the call to really dig inside of yourself and always ask yourself how you want to show up. How do you want to show up in your life? How do you want to show up for others? How do you want to show up in the space that you're in? I really enjoyed really getting to know Adele on a deeper level, and I'm really excited to share this episode with you. So please enjoy Adele. So we have a few sponsors for today's episode, which I'm so grateful for. Anyone who shows their love and their appreciation for Totally Unexpected, it really warms my heart, and I'm so grateful, and it really, really does go a long way. So firstly, today's episode is dedicated by Shalom and Rifki Kushner in the merit of the safe return of all of our beloved hostages held in Gaza, with special emphasis on Evyatar David and Rom Braslavsky, who are in need of a miracle. May Hashem send his infinite blessings their way, lift up their spirits, and give them good health. And may Hashem give the leaders of Israel the wisdom to achieve victory against the evil Hamas captors and bring all of our brothers and sisters home now. This episode is also dedicated by two wonderful couples, both from Lakewood, New Jersey, who prefer to remain anonymous, but appreciate the podcast immensely and are delighted to lend their support to Totally Unexpected. I'm very grateful. If you want to sponsor, please reach out. If you're a business, if you are just somebody who wants to sponsor something for a special occasion, for a yard site, for a birthday, if you just love the podcast and love what I'm doing and you want to be a part of it, please do. Please, please do. I think it's not a secret that podcasts are funded through sponsorships and advertisements. There's no secret way to go about it. And I would love to partner with all of you and any of you. And it's great. It's fun. If you're a business, I talk about you on the pod. I post you on Instagram. You get some nice exposure. If you're just somebody who wants to shout somebody out, or you're just somebody who loves and appreciates what's going on over here on Totally Unexpected, please reach out. All my contact information is in the show notes. And we're very grateful to all our partnerships and all our sponsorships.
I didn't realize you don't use the video primarily.
Right.
So as long as the audio is beautiful, podcasts are a listening experience, you know?
Well, I think so. You know, everything is moving to video, and I really kind of feel a little, I feel a little strongly like, to me, podcasts is like instead of radio.
Yeah.
And I have people ask me all the time, like, oh, can I watch it anywhere? Can I watch it anywhere? Can I watch it anywhere? And I'm like, not as of yet. And I'm not saying I'm never going to move to video, because if that's what the people want, that's what the people want.
I wouldn't have done my makeup. I literally would have not done my makeup. And now I'm like, I could have saved myself 45 minutes of time.
Well, you look stunning and you will be seen because there are reels. So we're going to see how gorgeous you look. It's worth it.
Okay.
But part of me is like, why can't we just be really good and dial in the audio?
Yeah,
and
that's what I
have
think.
that experience. And then all of a sudden we're always trying to do everything, like all the things.
Also, like, I mean, I think a lot of podcasts are listened to like while you're doing errands or driving and stuff. And I have the time to listen. I don't have the time to watch.
That's what I say. I'm like, I'm not sitting down and watching a podcast. The podcast when I listen, I'm in the car, which is my
perk is. Yeah, you can do other things.
Right. The biggest thing is I'm in the car or cooking in the kitchen for Shabbos. Like that's my big podcast listening time. Or on the treadmill.
Exactly.
I actually am curious, like what segment of people sit and watch? Like what
people do.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And I don't.
Is it like instead of like a TV show? Like
yeah. And maybe for people that like don't watch TV. You know?
Right.
So okay, have we started? No.
We're started. We're rolling. We're going.
Oh, I didn't know we needed to do a whole thing.
No. We're here.
Oh, good.
Adele, I am very excited to have you here. It feels like such an honor. I think we should start by like just saying how we know each other. We've had some really fun, great things we got to do together.
Yes, that's true. Even before, like recently, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so glad that you started podcasting. It was such a natural avenue for you. Even though when you announced it, I'm like, this girl did not need one more thing to do on her to-do list.
This is true.
But still, at the same time, I was like, this is such a great forum for you. You have such a powerful voice and you have so many interesting things to say, and I'm glad that you're doing this, and I'm glad that I can be a part of it, so thank you.
Wow, I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe around COVID time, I messaged you. It was when you were offering like consults.
Yeah.
And I messaged you because I was looking to, as you call it, level up. And my trajectory, which I don't even know if I've ever like really laid out how I even started my online presence, was I really wanted a blog. And I loved everything about the blog, the aesthetics, the photos. I love photos and writing my thoughts and getting my experiences out there. And it was a very similar process to how I started the podcast. Like I wanted to do it for a long time and I sat on it for a long time. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
So I started to develop the podcast, the blog. And then I was like, well, how is anybody ever going to know that I'm doing a blog? Like, if you don't have a social media presence, like who's going to know about this? And that's when I started to like dip my toe in on Instagram. And before then, I really didn't have, like, I would go on it, I would see people, but I didn't really have much of a presence on there. So I want to say 6-7 years ago is when I started. And of course, as you know, Instagram kind of turns into its own thing, but it started off as, this is how I want people to know about my blog. And then I would obviously post my blog, and, you know, every time I'd have a new piece to share. And I was doing that for a while. And then I wanted to, I was just looking to, like, what could I do next? Like, what's next for me? Like, what could I do next? And I just booked a consult with you, because I also love hearing from people, and people that I admire and that show up in a beautiful way that I can relate to. And I was like, okay, what's Adele going to have to say? So we had the consult, and it was so much fun, I remember. And then it kind of just spun from there. I'm like, well, how about you just come here? Because you were talking about maybe shooting a video.
Yep.
And, you know, I was maybe going to also, I did also for a while, like, that consult thing for a very specific niche, right? Like, for people who are looking for adoption or parenting high needs children, that kind of thing. And we're like, okay, well, how are we going to present this? How are we going to do it? And you came down, and it was so much fun. To Bozeman.
That was still stands out as, like, such an amazing experience for me. And really, I think also such, like, a beautiful thing in COVID, because that whole time was like, it was such a tiny part of COVID that got to just completely, we were in another world, you know? And you used the term level. I reached out because I wanted to level up. I feel you always are a leveled up type of person. Aww. What I felt was that you wanted to share your story in a more broader way. You wanted to, like, introduce yourself to people in a more official way. And the reason why I thought we should do, like, a video is because all of these things you bring to the internet are sum total of your experiences. And it's hard for new people, anyone joining. It's like, okay, let's give them this story of who you are and how you came to be online. Yes. So that whatever comes next, look at what you're doing, makes sense, because people have some sort of platform for, like, who you are and what you're all about.
Yes, I love that. And that's exactly what it was about. It was like, okay, how do I present myself, right? You said, to the broader audience, to get people to know, like, who I am and what I stand for and why I'm even on here and what I'm sharing. And it's so true. And the video, even though things ebb and flow and I'm not doing so much consultations at this point, the video is still very, very relevant. And I still use it all the time, which is super, super fun. So that's kind of our experience. We've always had, like, a fun online relationship, but that's...
Well, and you lived you were a dorm counselor in my home.
In your house.
When we were very young. So we go back, like, a super long time. But and we had so many friends in common, and, you know, our world is also very small.
Yes, we had a lot of overlapping, like, friends in common. I was a dorm counselor in Morristown, and I lived in your basement, which I didn't actually see you that much in that year.
No, but also one of your best friends I grew up with, like, down the street. So much. There's so much, even the peripheral outside of.
Totally.
So it was destined for us to meet.
Yes, truly. And since then, it's been really fun to, I think I'm sure it's the same for you, but when you have people online that you follow, it's, like, really fun to follow them along, see their trajectory, see what they're going to do next. Like, what are they up to? Which is kind of why I think it's such a fun time to talk to you now. Because I do, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do sense some change and some transformation happening and some shifting. So I would love to hear about what's going on these days. And I also just caught up in the fact that you, as I'm starting my podcast, you've kind of closed off that chapter in your life right now. And I would love to hear about, first of all, what motivated you to start a podcast?
The podcast was born out of, like, 2020 COVID. I was online a lot, but everything online was very short form. You know, you're getting things in such small bits and pieces. And I'm a big fan of a long form conversation. And it seemed like my community was wanting to get to know me. Yeah. And I felt like a podcast is a great way to get to know somebody without having to expose so much of your life. There were times after being on social media where I was exposing so much about my life. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was maturing and growing up and realizing that that wasn't so aligned, sharing so much about my life, my children, and personal things. And so I was like, this is a great way for me to share a little bit more about myself without exposing everything in my life, and doing it through guests where we can talk about interesting things.
Through conversation, through like almost like peeling the onion, like you get to share something else every time you have a guest. So it brings up a different part of you, a different piece of you, and you get to share a little bit more intentionally.
Yeah. And another important distinction about podcasts is that the focus is on who we are and not what we have. Whereas Instagram is a lot about what we have, where we live, what we're wearing. And I really wanted to talk to people just through like hearing my voice. Because I think it's important now.
Yes, very much so. I can really relate to that. I relate to long form conversations, and I can't even tell you how many people are like, your podcast is 2 hours. Like, I'm like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But this is what I want. This is how we get into, it takes time to ease into a conversation, to get your groove and to get to the meat and potatoes. And then I've said so many times that I worry about our attention span in the world that we live in, to the point I had this argument with my family. I think I might have mentioned it before, and I know it's controversial. Voice notes are very controversial. I freaking love voice notes. I love voice notes. I live on them.
Love. And you can 1x, 2x, whatever, or listen to it on regular.
Right. And the thing is that when so much gets lost, like your tone of voice, your mood, your intention in a text, right? And I'm just like, I just want you to hear my voice and how I'm saying this. But even you could listen to 1x, 2x, and that's what my family, like a lot of my siblings do. And I'm like, you are gonna fast forward my message. You're not, and then you lose the tone, and all of a sudden you're hearing. I'm like, you don't even come on. You can't take 2 minutes to listen to my message. We are
this is the thing.
So fast-paced. Like, just slow it down. Slow it down. So I urge you to practice. Listen to the podcast, even if it takes you a couple days. It always takes me a couple days to listen to a long form conversation.
Yeah. And you could put it into different things. Like what I like to do with Lila is like, I'll listen to half a podcast. I have an annoying commute. So I'll do like half a podcast on the way there, half a podcast on the way home. And I split it up that way. Or like, if every day during carpool, I know some people really like to vibe out to music.
Yes.
Some people are real music lovers. And so they don't understand. There are people, Chavie, who the entire genre of podcasting is like foreign to them. Like you listen to podcasts, I can think of nothing else I would rather do when I'm driving, because for me, music, it gets me like, I don't know. It's interesting to say this, but podcasts actually in a way get me out of my head more than music does. Music starts to sometimes make you feel like emotional, all sorts of things. Podcasts, I feel like I get to I don't have to worry about my own thoughts because I'm listening to a conversation for a bit. And that to me is really soothing.
Yes. I can really relate to that. I do like music, but I relate to this. Like, I don't always want to have music jamming out to music.
Yeah, I don't always jam out.
Yeah. And it's funny. I don't know, when you have like younger, it's another sign of like getting a little older, like the volume that you can handle. Like when I have my teenagers home and they're like helping me in the kitchen and they want to like blast the music. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so overstimulated right now.
I'm noise sensitive. Sensitive. Everything has to be. I hear my son's computer on top, like on the second floor. And I'm like, you need to lower. I could hear the vibrato. Like I could hear the.
Yeah. So you started podcasting because COVID, long form conversations, taking the focus a little bit away from the superficial, like what do you have, what you're wearing, what are you going, where are you getting, and more on people themselves, on an intellectual conversation. So how long, how long did you actually do the podcast for?
I started in 2020 and I just wrapped. So
I didn't realize it was that many years.
Yeah, because I didn't do it like consecutively. I wasn't super crazy about when I skip. Some people put one out every week or every 2 weeks. I was not like that. My goal was always, when I set out to my podcast, it was going to be people I wanted to speak to and topics I wanted to talk about. Right. I wasn't going to just book people for the sake of booking so that I could fill this endless void, the machine with content, so everyone felt happy all the time with how much I was producing. Like I was like, no, I want to make good content that feels good for me, that I want to do. So it sort of ebbed and flowed. So people don't realize it was so long because I don't have like tens of thousands of episodes. But yeah, I basically was podcasting on and off for a bunch of years.
Yeah. And what made you feel like it was time to wrap it up?
On a very superficial level, I wanted my living room back. It was the studio was in the prettiest room in my house and I wanted it back. But on a
I love that
level,
reason.
yeah, I was like, it was this big, beautiful room in my house. I wanted,
yeah.
It was taking over. I was like, figuratively and literally.
Yeah.
And also I felt that there's a lot of podcasts right now. There's a lot of people doing it. I felt I had done it for a nice amount of time and maybe I would clear out some of the space, some of the voices in the podcasting space and focus on like what's next for me. Because I also, and we talked about this briefly offline, I only just found out about my the human design.
Yes, we
human
must
design.
talk
And
about
I'm a manifesting generator. So generating, yeah. So I make very quick decisions and I know things very intuitively in my gut. I don't overthink them. So when I feel something like pretty powerfully, I go, okay, that's as much as I need to know about that.
You know, I really relate because I'm also a manifesting generator. I also just got a reading recently and it's so fascinating. There's so many layers. I need to do another one. But something that really stood out for me, I'm so curious if you relate to this, is that manifesting generators, and by the way, it felt really validating because sometimes it could feel really bizarre how we operate, but manifesting generators don't have like one passion, one focus, and are meant to do the same thing for their whole life. Manifesting generators like to do a lot of things, and they also don't have to do things forever. And when they don't, let's say like finish a project, it's not because they're giving up or they're lazy. It's just done for them.
Yep.
And it's just time to move on. And like what I said before is like, I sat on this idea, let's say when I was wanting to do a blog, and the same thing happened when I wanted to do the podcast, right? I was sitting on this idea and then all of a sudden I was ready and we're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how long I'm going to do it for. Right now I'm new and I'm in it and I love it.
You don't have to know.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of the fun, right?
Yeah.
But do you relate to that? Like, I think anyone who watches you online can see that, right? Like you have a lot of things that you feel passionate about, that you are good at, that you've done in your life, right? You've kind of done a bunch of things. And that is very true for a manifesting generator.
Oh yeah. If you look at my life, it's very much indicative of that human design. For anybody listening who doesn't know about human design, don't feel silly. I only just learned about it at 40 years old and now I'm hearing about it everywhere.
Same.
But there's like a quick test that you could do to find out, and maybe you could put it in the show note, like the links in the show notes, because I think it would be very helpful for people to know. But I will say something interesting about me is even before my human design, I'm a bit of like, I was just always been someone, as a child, I was outspoken. I act very impulsively. I live very impulsively, very gutturally, I should say. I guess it's not surprising I ended up being that way. But I think I'm like that in human design and. Like I carry all of the other human designs that are a bit more impulsive and decisive. Like the number one question I always get when I show any sort of design things around my home, she's like, how did you know you wanted to do that? I'm like, I just did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how I knew that. I just know.
Yeah.
In my core, I want the white couch. I know that's the paint I want. I know that's the thing I want. I know they're going to look together. I don't know.
Yeah. And it really shows up for me in like that overthinking stage. Like I'm very fast with my decisions. And you know what? Yeah. Sometimes my decisions, and I can do that in design too, but sometimes like I'll pick a paint color and it ends up not being what I expected. And then sometimes you're a Virgo though, right?
Yeah.
So you're a perfectionist. I'm a Leo. And so by
the way, I'm cuspy with Leo. I'm right on the cusp of August 26th. It makes so much sense that we have so much similarity. Okay, continue.
But like I can pick a paint color, not love it, and then be like, oh, well, it's whatever. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's fine.
That's the healthier way.
I've worked on it. But sometimes there's like the flip side, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a good thing I don't overthink things because I would never end up where I am today with the life I have if I thought about every scenario and what can go wrong, and I live in Montana, I have 5 adopted kids. If you overthink those things, it's very easy to get stuck. And then sometimes I'm like, maybe I should have thought about that a little harder.
I get myself in exactly the same hot water. I sometimes get things wrong and I sometimes make bad choices because of my impulsivity. Overall, I'd still choose my decisiveness and my impulsivity because the pros for me are that I get a lot of stuff done. Sometimes I make mistakes. Sometimes I screw up on my purchases, or I get something wrong, or I make bigger mistakes than things I buy. But overall, I think that it suits me for my life, and my life feels easier because I'm decisive.
I agree. Like, thinking about having to weigh each and every decision and spend a lot of time and anxiety. Like, I don't have anxiety.
No.
I feel like that would be too much for me. And so, you gotta lean. And that's what I love about the human design, is because it helps you kind of figure out how you're destined or how you move through this world in a way that's aligned. So you're not fighting with yourself. And like, it doesn't mean you have to have a specific job or this or live this, like, but how do you get there? How could you move through it? How do you approach, right? And when you know certain things, first of all, it's very validating, but if you're learning something new, it can open up a whole new, like, oh, I can do this thing, but let me do it this way. You don't have to change your whole life, but you can change how you approach things, or what tools you're using, or are you using your head, or using your gut? Are you are you impulsive, or do you need to take things slow? Are you?
Yeah. And knowledge is power. So the more we know things about ourselves, I think the more powerfully we can move about the earth. And I think that's something that's super important, especially for women and moms, because life gets very busy and a lot of women kind of shelf the getting to know themselves because they're taking care of lots of people all the time. But the getting to know yourself is something that has to happen throughout your whole life. We ought not to shelf it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you've talked about that recently a lot, even just your physical health and your mental health. Like, yes, many of us are raising kids and are totally consumed by that. And we also need to remember that we're human, and we also need some attention and care. And sometimes we wake up 20 years later and we're like, who are we?
Ruh-roh.
Yeah.
We're like,
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or sometimes like it's, health stuff creeps up because you haven't been listening to your body because you've been running on zero. Like, the reminder for us to pay attention to ourselves comes in different ways and different times and avenues. So that's why I'm like, I'm just trying to stay on top of it so it doesn't remind me in a way I don't, want it to. But yeah, that's just something I try and be keenly aware of.
Yeah, 100%. So before we talk more about the present, I know you have a very you have a presence online, and you do talk about your life and your experiences. But for my people who might not know who you are, tell me a little bit about your growing up, where you grew up. How was Adele as a child? We want to know.
I grew up in Morristown, New Jersey. So it's like a small suburb in New Jersey, about an hour from New York City. So it's a great place to grow up because I had like very much country life, but also like access to city life, and 5 children. I'm the second to youngest. My family is Chabad. My parents are Baal Tshuva. So they became religious later in life, then got married, then had children.
By the way, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. One of my favorite podcasts that you did was with your mom, and I think you probably hear that all the time. But
it was the number one listened to one.
It was just so. I remember I was listening to it cooking for Purim in my shul kitchen, and it was so great. It was so great.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that's really beautiful about being raised by 2 people that choose Judaism, that choose it. There's something profound about that. And when I was very young, I always thought that was a disadvantage. Like, my parents weren't religious from birth, and a lot of the children in my environment had that. And there's something very special and beautiful about that too. But as a child, sometimes you feel like might be like, that's a disadvantage. But as an adult, I realized like I was instilled with such a love of Judaism and love of God. And I'd like to say my parents were super high integrity Jews. Like, they did the right thing when no one was looking at all times. Like, they chose it. They chose it so beautifully. And I think that was just such really a blessing to have growing up.
And had a huge impact.
Huge impact. And when I look at my siblings and the people we are in the world, I'm like, yeah, my parents did a good job.
Mm.
And I think that their really strong belief system and finding Judaism later and having such an appreciation because they didn't have it their whole lives was so nice. So grew up in a small town. Because we lived in a small town, similar to like your story, which I'm sure you shared, a lot of times smaller communities, high school children have to leave their town because there isn't the adequate education at the level that they need after elementary or preschool. So I left my house very early. I moved out of home when I was about 14 in ninth grade, and I never went back, which is not unusual for you, but a lot of people are like, that's highly unusual.
It is. I know. Sometimes you have to like remember that it's not normal, actually.
Yeah. I was like living without my parents at 14 years old, and I basically never went home. Where did you go at 14? Did you leave for high school?
I actually left for 8th grade.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was 13 and I went to Chicago, and I stayed in Chicago for 5 years through high school.
Okay, good. So you know what? That's good because you stayed in one place.
I stayed in one place.
Because if you have to leave your parents, it's nice to build like a strong foundation. So I ended up moving around a lot for high school because
I can't imagine.
I wasn't the typical Chabad high school candidate.
Yes.
I did love I loved the singing and the ruach and the theatrics.
Yes.
I loved performing, but I would say that I fell short on some of the other requirements. So I moved around a lot.
I love it.
Some of the high schools I left voluntarily.
Yes.
Some of the high schools I was asked politely to maybe consider another environment.
You know, my husband says that he also went to like every year a different school, and I don't think he was ever asked to leave, but he was that type. And he's like, what? Exactly. Everyone needed to experience me. What do you mean?
By the way, that's so him. And also, what's interesting is like you've become fearless when you have to change high schools every year of your life, because high school is the most difficult, vulnerable, scary, insecure, horrific time of a young woman's life. And if you have to do that every year of high school, you basically become fearless.
Yes.
And so is Kanjal, like he's fearless.
Oh yeah, totally. He's like, I needed to spread the love. What do you mean?
That's so good. I'm going to tell him I'm stealing that.
Yeah, you could just, like, listen, everybody needed a piece of me. Like, that's just...
Exactly. So got through high school successfully, graduated from Long Beach, California, which was a great school for me and made lots of great friends. I didn't end up going the traditional seminary route which is a finishing school for girls. I ended up going straight into life. I wanted to work. I wanted to start my life. I wanted to learn things and be out in the world. I knew that would be best for me. So I moved to Brooklyn, to Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and got an apartment and like got a job and started working. And
what was your first job?
Title insurance.
Oh, interesting.
The most boring. And it was actually doing like the closing statements
paperwork
for like home closings, like when you close on a house.
Yeah.
Okay. I was doing that paperwork and I was so terrible at it because I'm a creative.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at math and I'm terrible at like any sort of administrative, like where you have forms have to be filled out perfectly. And so
details,
I was terrible at the job. Extreme painstaking detail.
I'm like, if I wasn't married to my husband, my kids would never go to the doctor. They would never, none of their school forms would be filled out.
Yeah.
I cannot do a form for the life of me. So
no.
The thought of title, like, and we've closed on a lot of stuff. So like, I know what that paperwork looks like.
Yep.
Like, I can't even believe that you were there.
I had to prepare that. And basically I was so bad at it. My boss came in one time and told me outright, he said, Adele, you're so bad at your job and you make mistakes on every closing statement, but you boost morale in the office. So we keep you around. You make people in the office happier. Like people love talking to you and like Yensing. So he's like, we keep you around for morale. And I was like, good enough for me. Good enough for me.
That is amazing. It reminds me literally my son, Beiny, who you know.
Yes.
And who is a handful. He had a teacher this year who is like unlike any teacher I've ever experienced. She's feisty. She says it like it is. She holds him accountable, boundaries. And he doesn't want to do his homework and it's very difficult. And we had a whole homework episode where he had this packet he was supposed to do. He didn't want to do it. He ripped it up, but then he was embarrassed that he ripped it up. So then he threw it in the garbage. And then basically it was a 2-week saga for this homework packet.
Oh.
So she comes to the car one day and she's like, Beiny, you're a terrible student. but I love you.
That's the equivalent. And you know
then,
what? That's an important.
It's an important thing.
People.
We need those people. And then she writes that at the end of the year, the comment, I've never seen a teacher say something like this. She goes, many was a torment and a delight for most of the year. Thank God for most of it, we erred on the side of delight. But like, which teacher is calling a child a torment? But it's
so
true.
Honest.
It's honest. It's true. And like, it works for him. He likes to be seen for what he is and who he is. Don't sugarcoat it and like hold him accountable. But I was like, wow, so it reminds me exactly of like in the office, you are terrible at your job, but we like your personality. So we're keeping you.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. She's able to just actually say what it is that's happening, which is probably so he appreciates that so much versus like you get those report cards where everything's like thinly veiled, worded. Like your child's like, no, I'd really just, everyone would rather know directly
we
what's
know, right?
We
know. But on the other hand, like secretly on the podcast that thousands of people will hear, but secretly, it was very validating for me as well, because I'm like, oh, somebody else sees this and is experiencing what I do every day. You get a piece of it too.
Yeah. I mean, that's like really all we're trying to do is like have people validate our experiences and our feelings.
Honestly, which is, I don't know, what probably most of us are doing online.
Exactly. And then I'll just bring you up to today because
Okay, so title insurance.
Yes.
How long did that last? I'm assuming not that long.
No. Well, I don't know, like a year and a half.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah, exactly. But I bumped around doing all these different kinds of jobs when I was young.
Yeah.
Got married young, got divorced young, had some single lifetime, experienced life, single parented, got remarried, subsequently re-divorced, and fully up to speed today, I'm married again. Won't be divorced. So, and in between all of that, did a lot of different creative stuff, picked up projects, put down projects. They can go to my website or Instagram and learn more about me.
You spent a lot of time in like the beauty industry, right?
A lot of time in the beauty space, starting with, I worked like Mrs. Maisel, got divorced, went to like Bloomingdales and asked for a job, literally, just like Mrs. Maisel.
Really?
Yeah. I got divorced. I was super young. I came home. My mom's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know, but I just know I was too young to be married. And she's like, go to Bloomingdale's. You're personable. You do makeup. Ask them if they have a job. So I literally walked into Bloomingdale's in the Short Hills Mall. And I was like, hi, do you guys have a job? I can do makeup. And they were like, they got me an interview, and I literally got the job and then trained with Bobby Brown, like at the makeup counter, because in those days you got hired by Bloomingdale's, but you really got hired by the makeup brand.
Right.
So you had to be hired by two people. And then they trained me and it was so fun. And I felt like Mrs. Maisel, like with the lipsticks, talking to all the ladies, like, oh my God, tell me everything. Like I was Maisel.
Did you love it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And also just making women feel like,
feel beautiful.
After with a full makeover, woman's face before and after is like, there's no better feeling when they look at the mirror, like, they have a full face of makeup. They feel amazing.
Yeah. But that takes a lot of grit and a lot of, I don't know, I feel like it's not very common to be newly divorced, and you had a young baby, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Like one and a half, too.
And then walk into a department store. That's where that like the fearlessness comes in, and just the confidence, right? Like I can do this.
I didn't think I could, and I was really scared because my mom thinking that I could do makeup and actually being able to do makeup was
different.
Very different. Like now I actually learned how to do makeup. Back then I actually didn't. But they taught me, and I learned over time from touching lots and lots of faces. And the beautiful thing about Bobbi Brown was she was one of the first brands that had a very diverse. She went from like alabaster to like the darkest dark. And so I had to learn on a lot of faces, which especially for me, I'd mostly just been exposed to one kind of person for a lot of my life. Right. So it was a beautiful experience for me to like not just learn how to make women of all types and skin colors happy, but also just learning about different types of people. And at that age, it was cool and a really probably important experience for my development.
Yeah, that exposure is amazing. And if I missed it, Bobbi Brown also had a more natural aesthetic than the other
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
couldn't pound it on. You had to
Yeah.
like really be intentional about your makeup. She had a very, very unique philosophy. Less was more. If I looked around to all the counters, I went like a Lancome and all the, it's like the women were leaving there looking
Painted.
so,
Yeah.
and MAC was directly across me. I mean, you had the 3 eyeshadow, like a 3
Yep.
tri-level eyeshadow.
Yep.
And Bobby was like, no, her philosophy is you want to look like yourself, only well-rested, like more awake, vibrant. You just want to look like yourself, but well-rested.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was 20 years ago. And now like the beauty industry has come, we just landed back there.
Yeah. The cycles of how things happen always fascinate me. Like I'm wearing a dress from Banana Republic. Okay.
They're having a major pop comeback.
When's the last time I shopped Banana Republic? When I was in high school.
I went in there yesterday because I love it now.
I know. Gap, Banana Republic, J. Crew, all this stuff that were our stores when we were teenagers, and we haven't heard from them in 20 years, or they were like kind of obsolete, right? And all of a sudden they're back, and I'm like, oh my God, this is my stores. Like this is what I grew up with.
There was nothing better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, I follow the creative director of J. Crew, Olympia Marie, on Instagram. She's a beautiful follow. She's such a creative. She's the one that revived J. Crew to what it is today. So just a really fun follow for anyone who really likes creativity and things like that. Olympia Marie.
Okay.
J. Crew. Yeah.
I'm going to follow. I don't think I have her on my list. Okay. So you're doing makeup, and is that your kind of your first introduction into the beauty world?
Yeah, beauty, and most importantly, sales.
Sales.
I started my first job basically outside the horrible first, title insurance was like sales. I had to learn how to sell. So that was, if your first job is sales, you sort of start to realize that everything in life is basically a sale. Yeah. So,
and I assume I'm assuming you were a natural at it.
I don't actually like to sell people things. It's one of my biggest problems. That's what always happens to me on Instagram. I get upset or irritated when people ask me where things are from. And the pushback is, isn't that why you're here? Don't you want to sell things?
Right.
No, I don't like to sell things to people. And that was a challenge for me in all my jobs. But I love people. So I just talk to them.
Yes. And I think what I mean by what comes natural to you is maybe you're not intentionally wanting to sell people, but you're a voice that people want to listen to. And automatically, if you're talking about something, people are like, oh, I want that. Where can I get that? How do I get that? And it might not be your intention.
Right. Yeah.
But you have that charisma or that draw that, oh, if you're going to say something. And also you've proven that you stand by the things that you will talk about. And so,
yeah, I try to, unless I change my mind, but in which case I try and tell people, but I also just really want women to feel good.
Good. Life's looking good.
It was literally my first job. Like I love making women feel good or helping them find the way for them to feel good. I don't want to sell. I just want to talk to women.
Right. What drives you for that to be your why? Like, I want women to look good. Like, where is that coming from?
That's such a good question. No one's ever asked me that. I think throughout my life, when I've experienced difficult things, I realize that when I feel good about myself, I feel like I could do more or do anything. I could show up to the Bobby Brown counter. I could, start a podcast, market myself. Because if you feel good, you feel kind of powerful. And I just look around and I just want to tell people, you could just do a few small tweaks. And if you just even feel a little better about yourself, you present such a different person. It's possible. And I've had moments in my life where I didn't feel that way, but I tried to learn or that's one of the reasons I was kind of passionate about learning how to do makeup is I wanted to empower myself to be able to show up in the world and feel good doing it. So I tried to teach myself the skills to do that because I didn't have it. Yeah. And I didn't have a mom like that, Yeah. My mom was not into beauty or hair or makeup.
Right.
She's not. She's, career woman, amazing. She wasn't like me. So I had to teach myself a lot of these things. And So I've experienced it. So there's just, I want to share it.
Yeah. You've experienced the power of a few little tweaks, a few little things. It's not just like fake it till you make it, which there's something to that, but I've experienced that too. Like you can be in a place or in a position in life where you're staying in pajamas all day. There's only so much you can do and you're really down in the dumps, and it's okay. We all are there sometimes. But then when you reach that point where you want to snap out of it and you're just like, okay, I'm ready to show up. I'm ready to move past whatever is going on. I want to feel good, look good. What is it? The first thing you do is you get dressed. Right?
Totally.
You get dressed, you put on some makeup, and automatically like it's a whole new world. And I love that's the passion and the motivator behind so much of what you do. And then do you get really frustrated when it turns into, I think like what you alluded to is like it turns into, oh, how do I get that? How do I get that? How do I get that? Send me links, send me links, send me links. Do it for me. I don't want to work hard for this. What happens for you in those moments? It's like you're missing the point.
It's I think my overall frustration with the internet, and also I've recently taken a step back. It's not that it personally offends me or upsets me that people want to know where something I'm wearing or doing or have is from.
Mm-hmm.
It's that I'm frustrated that we're spending so much of our time observing other people's lives instead of being in our own. And that what we're seeing, this culture of asking me for so much the moment they see it, indicates two things for me. One, that they're too much observing other people's lives. Because if your impulse is immediately, where's that? You're watching too much of other people's lives. And two, it's like, if you spent a little bit more time in your life and observing it, you might not even want the thing that I'm showing you.
Yeah.
You don't even know that you want it. And I just, so it's not like, oh, if someone asks me where something's from, and by the way, in the DMs, I'm so sweet. I always answer people where everything's from.
Yes.
It's a lot of it's a facade.
Yeah.
But then
to make a point.
To make a point. And that feeling started to just compound. And so because I just lately, I'm like, I keep thinking to myself, I don't want to be a perpetual part of this problem where people are observing my life instead of being in their own. I want to take that out of the equation for them. I do have to dance these two worlds of like, it's not about other people. It's about me. Like, why am I here? What am I doing? It's not all on the responsibility of other people where you're going to have nudniks everywhere you go. But I think I'm trying to find a way in which I could show up that doesn't create such a dynamic of where's that from? What is that? Can I have a link? I really just want to express myself and or share ideas and or have my community without it always being about buying something.
Yeah. I love that we're talking about this because there is this preconceived notion that if you're showing up online, that's your job. And of course, people are going to ask you where things are from. So why is that making you like you signed up for this? So this is what you should expect. And I urge people to, because I don't get that many questions about where things are from because I don't share that much of that kind of stuff. But I can relate, and I urge people to like think about other reasons why people might be showing up online. And I can speak for myself, and I wonder if you feel this way too. Like I show up online, and I've analyzed this to no end because sometimes I do like feel shame or like, why did I have to share that? Or why do I need people to know my life in this way? And it happens to be that. And this is where human design or astrology can really help take away some of that shame, because certain people are in this world to share. And that's part of what they're supposed to be doing. And other people who aren't, that isn't their purpose or they're not supposed to, it's very hard for them to relate to that. And it feels
like we want something or need something.
Yeah, it feels like it's
okay, wait. There are, in fairness to the community, there are a lot of people who do just show up to sell things.
Yes,
and
100%.
So now it's hard for people to be able to tell the difference.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is like, yes, that's where this comes from, is like there are influencers where it's their job or that's what they're doing and that's their sole purpose of being online. But I urge you to not put everyone in that same category. And there are people who show up online because they feel a deep calling to share their experiences it's twofold for me, as a way of processing it themselves and as a way to bring other people in and also tell other people that, oh, did you feel weird about this? Are you in this experience? You're not alone. Like it gives
community
people permission to feel without the shame if somebody else is also going through it. So I think it's so easy for us to lump everybody who's showing up online as in the same category of needing or wanting something or selling. And not to say that that's a bad thing, because that is a reality nowadays. Like that is a job. It is a job. And if that's someone's job, then that's what they're on there for. And we all benefit from that to a certain degree. But there are people who show up like,
or you could choose to follow them or not. I don't particularly benefit from that, but I don't want to participate in the internet in that way. I follow like baby animal videos, or design.
Right. And that's, I think, another thing that people always forget is like you have autonomy over like what you're consuming.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that happens, is that it's just like an automatic, like, oh, you're online.
It's a big bucket. It's a big, like everyone gets put in the same bucket.
Yeah. Like, and so this is what you signed up for. So this is what it is. And I think we are complex humans and we can embrace nuance. We have the ability to think critically, to have nuance, for not everything to be black and white. And that's kind of what I like to do online, is to stir the pot a little and broaden people's perspectives and think about things in a way that maybe they wouldn't have before.
Yeah.
I really like to do that. I feel called to do that. I can't tell you why.
I think you do it well. I think you do it well. And it's so funny. I think you hit it on the head. I think there are people that observe individuals like us who show up online, not necessarily needing people's shekels, but really just people who feel called to share, to communicate, to have community, to bolster community, to feel more heard and understood, and help other people hopefully feel more heard and understood. And quiet introverts, or people who have absolutely no interest in the internet, are often like, are you insane? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
But I am sometimes asking myself, and currently I'm in the phase of, are you insane? And you should not be doing that. So right now, if you ask me, I'm feeling very much as if I'm in more of a still and quieter phase of thinking about, instead of just showing up, why am I showing up? Is it honest? Is it real? Do you just need a lot of attention? I have to ask myself that question a lot. If I'm showing up online for a lot of attention, then I don't want to do that. It has to be something pure and better than that.
Are you able to be honest with yourself in that way? Like,
yeah, that's why I took myself offline.
Because you felt it was coming from a place of needing attention?
No, I'm just more of like,
what's the point?
What's the point? Just because the internet feels to me like it's becoming so much of like a haves and have-nots, and a haves and have-nots, and this divide. Again, it feels like there are people who are observing. It feels to me that there's become a lot of observing other people's lives, like life is only happening for them. They're living life, and I'm watching. And I viscerally don't like that. And I don't wish to be a part of that problem.
So for you right now, it's like, I need to step out of this whole thing because it feels like I'm just contributing to this vicious cycle. And you want nothing to do with that right now.
Yeah. If I come online, I want it to feel like kind of meaningful or purposeful. And it doesn't mean everything I have to do has to be, quoting Gandhi.
Right.
But just, what is the intention? What are you putting out? Everything, all content comes with great responsibility. It's a piece of something that goes out into a metaverse that never comes back. Your voice, your thoughts, your opinions, the good days, the bad days. And so it exists. You create something into existence that can never be taken back. It's all like, what do I want to put out there? It's meaningful. It matters. I take it seriously, and I take people's time and attention seriously. It's a busy day, and people have a lot going on. And sure, sometimes people are just scrolling because they're trying to pass time or hide from their kids in the bathroom. But sometimes some of the things that you say and do really do absorb into people's psyches. And so I want to take great responsibility as to like what I'm putting out there.
Yeah. And my question is, to you, one of your biggest passions is to help people feel good, and for women to love themselves and feel worthy of taking care of themselves and showing up in a way that just lights them up, right? And
Yep.
so you've been doing that for quite a while through social media and that. So you're taking a step back from that. Are you looking to still impact the world in that way, in a different space, in a different way? Like, what are your thoughts? Like when you pull back from the internet, because you had such a kind of intentional way of showing up, right? This is what you wanted out of showing up. So let's say you're pulling back. It all feels very confusing. I align with that. Being online is very confusing, and it forces you to face a lot of uncomfortable questions every day. And I struggle with that too. Like, do I need a lot of attention? And especially like I'm a Leo. And so that's the
Well, answer the question. If you're a Leo, the answer is yes.
Yeah, well, that's the stereotypical Leo quality. And I always used to like reject the fact that I was a Leo because I didn't want to be somebody that was the first thing they know about you is you want attention. So I rejected it for so long. But now in my 40s, I'm like, I kind of like attention.
Me too. Okay. Me too. And maybe it's because I'm partially Leo too, but I think it's okay. It's like this martyrdom syndrome.
Yes.
We do all this, and you're supposed to hate it. No, listen,
No.
Attention feels good. And everybody wants attention in their own way. Not everybody's extroverted and doesn't need to come online, but everybody wants and needs attention. There's varying levels. And I would say we're on the higher need.
So yeah, but I'm literally trying to embrace this. Okay, it doesn't mean I'm superficial. It doesn't mean that like there's nothing else layers about me, but I can embrace the fact that I kind of feel like I was meant to live a more outward life, a front-facing, public-facing life. And like I can see it in my podcast. Like I have this like, I want it to be so good and I want everybody to know about it and I want it to be known.
Good, you should have that.
And then I'm like, cool your jets. Like, whew. Right now, we are very tiny, teeny, tiny, and we're building something here. But I hope my manifest generator doesn't make me stop before I get there.
No. I think, the fun thing about podcasts is you continue to have the conversations you want to have and the people that need to find you do. I trust the universe in that way.
Yes.
And I think if you just have like your own perspective and you have like you have a very unique perspective and also a very unique experience.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of people that have experienced what you're experiencing and have experienced. So the people will find you. They will.
I hope so. We put it out there, right? Okay, but back to my question. Are you looking to, or how are you going to find a way to fill that passion that has really been with you throughout your whole life? It's been pretty steady without pulling back from front-facing online content.
I'm not sure what's next for me creatively. I always have things percolating.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure. I'm not chasing it right now.
Yeah.
It depends on the day you ask me. Some days I give myself a harder time about it. Sometimes I'm easier on myself. I'm currently in an easier phase with myself about it because I just was really unwell for a few weeks. So I had no choice. But my body basically, it said, you're done trying to think about any of that stuff right now. You need to just rest.
Yeah.
So I've been metaphorically and physically resting, but also I took a step back also to focus more on like being a mom. I was married very young and divorced very young. So pretty much all of my young adult life and raising small children, I was hustling and had to work. And so I missed a lot of first moments. My parents did a lot of watching and nannies did a lot of watching. And I was given this beautiful gift in my life of having the option to work or not. And so I'm leaning in heavily into trying to be a mom and a homemaker because I didn't get that for a long time.
I love that. And I feel that's so beautiful and profound. And I think I hope a lot of people will benefit from hearing that. Is this the first time in your life that you didn't have to work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What does that feel like? Is it scary?
It was at first, but I got to say,
get used to it real fast. I'm like,
No, it's not scary, but for me, it's generating manifestors. Sometimes it's tricky because I feel I do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
it's that we feel we need to be producing. So while I do a lot of things in my day, I'm like, what am I producing? But I continually remind myself that I'm producing humans. The most important thing. So I'm like, okay, then I'm producing like hopefully a better human for being home, being present, being there for her teenage years, being there for dinner time, being able to do all the things. So that's what I'm producing. And I'm really letting go of this need to have to produce something creatively for other people. I have a lot of creativity in my life, in my private life. A lot of people don't know, but I have a couple of businesses that my husband and I invested in, and I am on board in like a marketing capacity on both of them. Yeah. So I actually do a lot of marketing for business behind the scenes, and I don't put them on social media because they're not necessarily affiliated with my audience, and it's like, it's fine. Right. It's private work.
Yeah.
So I still have a lot of creativity and online activity in other ways.
Right.
And also just, I am always doing things around my home creatively, or like, so I end up doing a lot of the things that I love to do, but in an official capacity of doing something creative for the public.
Right.
I'm letting go of this great need to have to know what that is right now, or if there will be.
Well, there is something to be said for the stillness, right? We don't realize how powerful it is and how much we need it. But in order to kind of get to the next level in life, you need room for it to just be, right? Yep. You just need to be and exist in the life that you've already created, and it will come, right? It will come, and you'll know the right time. But I want to know what it feels like from being hustler and to transition into more of a homemaker and a stay-at-home mom. That's a big transition. And especially for the teenage years, I feel like the teenage years are really difficult, and it's quite the time to, like, usually it's the opposite. You're home and your kids are little, and then your kids start to get older, and then you start to like find yourself again and go do work outside of the home. And here you're kind of doing it in the opposite way. What is it like to have that experience of always being a hustler and then coming back, and it's to teenagers? Being present for teenagers is really hard.
It's so hard. And I'm so glad that it coincided with this time, because raising a teenager in 2025 is like going through an actual minefield.
Literally.
The children are exposed to more than they've ever been exposed to. Young minds live in a world where they have access to how so many other people are living. When we were young, it was just like our little friend group in our class, our small little class. That was our whole world. Now, children have access to the whole world. That's like a huge component of parenting that I don't think we acknowledge enough, that we're heroes
contending
for trying to do. Contending. Yes. And then just also teenagers. Oh my God. Like, whoa, little kids are so easy comparatively. My mom always said, little kids, little problems, big kids.
My mom said that too. Little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems. And there is nothing truer than that.
I think to myself, you know what? It wasn't ideal that I had to have a lot of like nannies and work when my children were young. But to be fair, I'd rather the nannies did that age than try and do this age.
Yeah. No,
this is it's good. It was, the timing is right. And how does it feel? It feels, I'm rolling with it. I'm rolling with it every day, thank God. These times are so precarious.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you have a roof over your head and a hot meal and you're safe today, I'm like, you're doing better than many. Just look at the state. So I'm like, every day that I get to do this, I'm like, I'm lucky, I'm blessed. Today's a good day, even if, there's other things
feel
happening.
That way. That's something that I struggle with, is because intellectually that, like you said, you're alive, you have a comfortable home, you have food, you're comfortable, like all those things to be grateful for. And then it could be so hard, and you have such a hard day, and then you're like, then you feel guilty and shame for like, I should just be grateful that I'm not sitting in a bomb shelter right now. But
it kind of, in a way, feels like a bomb shelter.
But honestly, like I hope this doesn't come across in a negative way, but this whole time, like we're recording this just as like the ceasefire with Iran and Israel is sort of a thing. I don't know how that will play out, but I was very much a little bit removed from the war going on in Israel. I was very like, I knew what was going on, and I messaged my people, and I showed up in that way, but I wasn't consuming and being immersed in it, because it was like my home.
Me too.
sometimes feels like a war zone.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of extra capacity to put myself there when I really need to be putting myself in my home, because in my home, I can actually affect some change. And putting myself in Israel and having all sorts of anxiety and distress over something that I really have no control over is not something I can afford.
Yeah. That makes complete sense to me.
But then sometimes you're just like, well, that feels wrong. Like I should be like so much more invested, which I am, but like in a more physical way. But I just don't have it.
Yeah. And it's been a tough 2 years. Like we've been kind of glued for a long time. And so I think
and
it's
balancing,
important.
right? Balancing those emotions with what's going on with literally our family and our people and our nation and our homeland, and then our immediate life and home and family. And I just constantly have to remind myself that like Hashem put me in here in this world in Bozeman, Montana with my children. I'm not in Israel, right? I'm here. So what is my purpose and my job here right now with the people that I actually do have effect around?
Yeah.
But it's hard.
That's a good distinction. It's hard. And I think this is the plight of the Jew.
Mm-hmm.
We're always worried about the things immediately close to us, the things far away from us.
And it doesn't feel separate. That's the problem. Sometimes
Yeah.
you can separate it, and other times it's like, well, it's the same.
Yeah. I think this is why Jews in general, like our posture is not great, because we are literally like carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders.
Honestly, it's so true. It's so true. I have a non-Jewish therapist who I talk about a lot because it has a great effect on my life. And
Good.
he, when we talk about what's going on in Israel or October 7th or whatever, or talk about how I'm feeling about it, or he's like, how do you not? He's like, look at your history. Look at the trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma your people have endured. Like that does something to you. Like it does something.
Yeah, it does. It does. I take an interesting stance on the whole like anti-Semitism thing. It's probably a bit controversial, but
we like that around here. So
I'm not like a big runner of the whole like anti-Semitism content. I think for the most part, it's very isolated. In my life, I feel very safe as a Jew. I have many, many non-Jewish friends. Never feel unsafe around them. And as is the experience of a lot of people I know. I know that anti-Semitism is rampant and it's happening, but I don't choose to amplify it. I'm not personally experiencing it in my life, nor the people I love. I'm experiencing everyone I meet being sympathetic, empathetic, loving, and even people who I think your average person who is supporting Palestine, either feels very passionately about their cause the same way we do. It's hard to see it that way, but everyone's really just trying to protect their loved ones and whatever. And also a lot of people really just are ill-informed, misinformed, and just trying to fit in with everybody. I don't even really know that most people know what they're saying. I think generally like our world is safe for us. So I don't run with that rhetoric a lot.
I tend to agree. And my husband and I, because we are leaders of a community, so we do have to really be intentional about the things that we talk about and the things that we show up doing and sharing. And my husband has always taken that stance. He's like, there is no gain in perpetuating this narrative, that the anti-Semitism narrative. If you experience something, it's important. You take care of it, you report it. But to say that, like, I feel the same way. I've never experienced it here in Montana.
Yeah. And you're exposed to every kind of human.
Yeah. And it's so much more effective and so much more proactive and I'm missing the word I'm looking for, but positive to focus on, first of all, how are you showing up in the world? What are you doing to affect change in the people around you? And of course, spend time.
Well, how are you representing Jews? Because I feel very good about the way I represent Jews, so I don't worry that much about it.
Yeah. And also, like, if we're going to focus on something, okay, let's focus on Israel. Let's focus on the real facts and educate and show people what's actually going on down there. But to focus on this anti-Semitism as a narrative, again, people will disagree. It's a very controversial
I think
topic.
so too. I think so too. But the other thing that's like very important to remember, and I think it's super hard when you're talking about when we're very passionate about our belief system, but like people are not wrong for believing differently than us. Our love and our passion is Israel. We'll fight to the death for that. But there are people who exist in an exactly parallel universe, and
Yeah.
they believe just as deeply and as fiercely as we do for their family, for their causes. They're not wrong for believing differently than us. And we will never get through this if we can't see the way other people feeling differently than us is okay. We might not agree. We might have very different views.
Right. And I agree with that. But I do think the distinction we have to make is that no one is wrong for believing in their value and their faith-based.
Right.
It's what are you doing to perpetuate that?
You can't be violent or create an unsafe environment. No.
That's not our narrative, is to kill for the sake of God,
no,
right?
But we have a lot of, in all things, politically and religious-wise, you have so many of these opposing views who, before even you're talking about violence, are already angry that people just have opposing views.
100%.
But it doesn't even get to
and
the
I think if you go back to the Torah, these opposing views are destined. We're created to have these opposing views. Like, that's not changing. And I think we forget that. Of course, we have to keep our peace. And in the Torah, we have to fight for our land and for our people. But to say that our goal is that everybody should be on the same side and be on the same page.
Think like us.
Think like us. I mean, Hashem didn't create it that way. Hashem created Yaakov and Esav with very different value systems, with very different trajectories of life. And we're still, like, that's what we're living. I know. We forget that that's what we're living. So it is such a fascinating thing to just also be okay enough to even have the conversation and be quiet to hear somebody else's thoughts and be okay with hearing somebody else's thoughts. I think certain things are black and white, like murdering and rape is black and white, never okay. Yeah. But when you're talking about the greater society, and the other thing you said, like this anti-Semitism, I actually listened to, I can't remember, it might have been, honestly, like from the Free Press.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
I can't remember if it was her or not, but I don't know. But they were basically, no, it wasn't. It was not her. It was actually Aaron and Sarah Foster, who was interviewing somebody in the tech world and was talking about the fact that, especially we can see it so much in what happened on October 7th about the bots that were putting out all this information and created this frenzy and then kind of made it a reality, but it started off.
It's all bots.
It's crazy.
Anytime anything goes viral like that and there's a ton of activity or hate around something, I realize it's bots. I had this situation with Meghan Markle.
Do tell.
I wrote a comment under a very popular influencer's post I just thought would just get buried and no one would see it.
Yeah.
But I just wrote something about Meghan Markle. I was like, a real princess would never. That's all I wrote. Like, because she did like a handwritten calligraphy.
Yeah.
And I was like, because a real princess does not concern herself with pop culture or what's happening in pop culture. So I was like, and so factually, I was like, a real princess would never about Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
Whoa. For like 48 hours. I was getting attacked, and I run a very quiet, private community, very small.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is happening right now? And I went to just see some of the accounts that were writing me like, you're a racist. Well, they made it immediately about race, even though I was like, no, a real princess would never write a letter to a influencer. Okay, but and I was looking at their accounts. They were all fake accounts, no pictures, no followers, no things. And I was like, it's actually just, it's nonsense because they made it racial and racial kicks up a lot of engagement. So they use bots as ways to create controversy so that people get involved.
Right. But that's my question. Who are the bots? Like, who's creating these bots? Like, who's behind the clickety?
It's part of the algorithm. You need activity. You need to drum up activity. Not everything becomes instantly interesting. Things become instantly interesting because there's usually now TikTok is its own animal. Like, people are just so starved and so bored and so glued to that thing all day that everything goes viral all the time, always.
Right.
But on Instagram, you need to drum up activity that has to become controversial or a buzzword. That's why everyone uses like those taglines or headlines that are false or,
This is why I'm so bad at Instagram, honestly.
Right, because you just want to actually talk about what's happening.
Yeah. No viral content for me.
So make it a race issue. No,
Right.
a real princess never, oh my God. But what I realized is it's just 2 days. If you wait 2 days,
Yeah.
it passes, and then there's a new thing that goes viral, and then the bots go there.
Okay, so now that we're on this topic, I have voiced my very, very strong opinion on AI, ChatGPT. I want to hear your thoughts.
I'm abusing ChatGPT. I'm actually decided today I have to be better because it's very bad for the environment. And also there's all these studies coming out about how just crucial it is that we continue to use critical thinking. They say, like, even if you know where you're going, people still put MapQuest, not MapQuest, whatever. Oh my
GPS.
God, whatever. GPS, yeah. You're still supposed to try and remember how to get there as much as you can.
Yeah.
Use your brain to remember how to do things. And ChatGPT is like a huge problem because we're using it as a major crutch. Like we stop even thinking. Again, this is back to like observing your life versus being in your life. Are we asking everything? So I'm trying to take a little break. I wasn't abusing it in a weird way where I needed it to be my friend. Those people are weirdos and you need to seek help. But
yeah.
No, it's okay. Everyone's using it as their friend, but I was just using it as like more of like a Google, and I'm like, just use Google, because it doesn't use as much water, and or just like use my own brain.
I feel very strongly about this, and I just saw also like a study, and I don't know, I can't tell you the source of it and how accurate it is, but just like a brain that's using ChatGPT all the time and a brain that's like using their brain, and the difference is scary and
startling.
This is the soapbox that I've been standing on. I'm like, we don't have to be that efficient. We want everything instant. We want instant gratification. We want everything to be fast. What happens when ChatGPT and AI take over all the jobs? What are the humans supposed to do?
Yeah.
What are the humans going to do?
That's what I always say. AI can't come for my job because I don't have one anymore.
Right. You're in a good spot.
No, it's very true. But it will come for a lot of jobs. And I don't know, like there's not much we could do about that.
Right. So what are we going to do?
But back to the personal autonomy is like you could decide in your life how reliant you want to be on a machine telling you what to do. And that comes back to personal autonomy. Mm-hmm. They will come for the jobs and they will try and come for the minds because that's the whole thing.
That is the whole thing.
Right. So it's like, how do you hold on to your mind? By keeping your autonomy and learning and coming back to asking yourself things. So that's basically what I just came to in the last few days. I was like, you need to stop using ChatGPT so much.
So I have my own principles, which people laugh at me, honestly, that I'm like so stark on my principles. And it's like the person who's suffering from it is me. Like, who are you? Like, who's like, what? You know, you're making your point. Yay for you, right? But I still like for my own.
Do you not use ChatGPT in any capacity?
Not ever, not once. Never used it.
You're like me in a dating app. I was like, I'll never. Okay, never. So, and I never did. Okay, wait. Wow.
Never. And I won't on principle.
You're missing out.
I'm telling you, that's what they say.
No, it's good for some very like quick, easy things. Like when I have to convert like centimeters into inches.
Yeah.
Like,
but I'm used to, I can do that on Google and
yeah, exactly.
Honestly, like I have a magnet, you're going to laugh. I have a magnet that's 20 years old that I keep in my drawer because my fridge is not magnetic anymore. And it tells me, you know, like cups, tablespoons, teaspoons to like convert. And I'm like, the amount that I use that magnet, I will find other ways. Like
that's your ChatGPT.
That's my ChatGPT. Like, and I know that they're honestly like, I've spoken about it, I've written about this, and I know that there are many positives in the medical field, in the research field. I know that there are good things to AI and ChatGPT. I know that to use it in moderation is not the end of the world. There are healthy quote unquote ways to use it. It's to me, I'm not buying in. Like I'm not doing it. And I might, you know, in a few years, I probably will have to.
I get it. You're one of those outliers. You don't want to adopt it. And you know what?
I don't.
Good for you. The world needs all types. I think you're probably right to do that.
I'm scared of my brain in general. Like I'm scared, like I forget people's names, like I forget stuff. And I'm like, I'm so scared of dementia and like stuff like that I'm like, I got to use my brain all the time in every way possible.
It's super important, and you're right but they're like all of the recent studies too about dementia are all pointing to sleep.
I know. And I'm terrible at
Alzheimer's
sleep.
and dementia, because if you don't sleep, like your brain can't restore. But I
Right.
think it's probably twofold. You have to use it like any muscle. You have to use it or you
You
lose it.
have
You
to
don't use
use
your
it.
brain. And to be fair, a lot of the current generation doesn't have enough brain to lose. So I
Yeah.
need the young people to really stop because they need to start using their brains. We were trained, we didn't have it. So we already
At least we
exercised our
came
brain.
up at the formative years of our brain. We didn't have
Our brains
this.
were strong because we
Yeah.
had we had to work
We
them
didn't
out.
have
But now
choice.
I really worry. But like all things, we'll probably pendulum swing a little
Yeah.
far and then figure out that we did that and then overcorrect and then land somewhere in the middle.
So it happens every time, right? Like we go to one extreme, then we swing to the other extreme, and we hopefully somehow, some way make it to the middle. But I feel like sometimes it's just the big swings. We do these big swings and
feels like we're in a big swing right now. Like,
but
in
on
what?
opposite ways, right? Because a big swing on chat, GPT, and AI, but then you have this the swing of people who are going back to flip phones and like realizing they don't even want to be like the Gen Zers, right? Like they don't even want to be online, and it's they're noticing how terrible it is. So it's just such funny, interesting time to be in.
Yeah, my daughter's sort of like that. She's not really, she calls them like iPad kids. She's like, that kid's I don't want to have a play date with them. They're an iPad kid, meaning she's already identified that these kids do not know how to engage, make eye contact. They just watch iPads all day and she doesn't want to hang out with them. We're not like an iPad kid family. And I try and force my kids to use their brains. Listen, are they on their devices? Of course they are. But like Lila certainly still prefers like human interaction, like
which is
swimming,
huge accomplishment because that's not, it's hard to do. In my family, it's
very hard to do.
We happen to be screen free for many reasons, and it's very hard. My husband and I were talking the other day because when you actually have kids that are challenging, the easiest thing to do is stick them in front of a screen. Right?
This is not because of my great parenting, by the way. It's just that like she intuitively just wants to do I was like that too. But if she was a kid who really fought me on it, I'm weak.
Yeah.
Okay. I would fold like a cheap lawn chair. So I get it. I do not judge people. But
100%.
But you can always tell when you're dealing with kids that are on their iPads all day.
Yeah. We're like, why are we being so stubborn about this? Like, why are we not just giving them the screens? And we're like, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. Like, I know too much. I also know that, especially for my kids, that it's so difficult, but it's so hard because then this is why I freak out about the summer, right? Because you have a whole summer with 3 months of no school and we have no screens and Hanalea isn't in camp at all.
Wow,
so
you're really brave.
We're really in it. Like really, really in it.
Oh my God. But also, okay, I will just say there's one thing that's tricky, and I don't know if you face this, but like Lila sometimes brings up the point that if you completely have zero screens, there could sometimes be like somewhat of a social alienation because all the kids are caught up on a reference that kids who don't have access to really don't get. And for Lila, like in school, she's like, Mom, that's suicide.
Yeah.
Social suicide. So it's like, I'm always like doing this like,
well, my son tries to convince me of that. And honestly, they have so much exposure. Like it's not that they're
He's getting it at school.
He's getting it. It's not like he's never seen a screen in his life. It's not like he never has an opportunity. Yeah. And I'm not falling for it. That everything has fallout. And I'd rather that be the fallout than the other thing. So
good point.
You're choosing your, like you have to choose your
hard.
Choose your hard. Choose your hard. And I happen to choose that for me. I think that for my family that works. But talking about generational things, I just discovered something super fascinating with my daughter Hanalea, who's turning 8. So she was 2 in COVID in preschool. Whoa. And she, went to preschool with everyone was wearing masks. And we have been doing a lot of work with Hanalea and the way she moves through life and school and social. And she's very, very hard to figure out. She's complex and it's super fascinating, actually. She's such an interesting kid. And one of the special ed teachers started to do some of this testing. She's like, I wonder if she understands the social cues and like reading people's faces and emotions and knowing what to do about them. And turns out that if you show her like a still picture, she can have pretty good accuracy. She does confuse some things, but if you show her a video of a scenario and you ask her after, like an official test. So like there's these videos and you show them, what does that person feel? Why do you think they feel that way? What should you do if that person says something like that to you? No idea.
Whoa.
No idea. So we're discovering that the reason there is a lot of struggle on like the playground and her social interactions is because she actually doesn't really understand what's happening. And in order for her to understand, she wants to be in charge and in control. So if she can't be in control of the game or whatever's happening, it doesn't go well. And so part of it is, it's just her and her personality and who she is. But part of it, the teacher was telling me, she's like, we're actually seeing this more often because these kids at this age, at these formative years, went to school and they didn't see facial expressions.
Yeah, that is
they didn't know,
so
like
major.
Matching what they were saying to what it looks like on somebody's face. It was such an aha moment for me. Like everything has these ramifications and it's not in our control. It's not like, oh, we have to blow the house down, be angry, but it's so powerful to have that information. And now when we go through scenarios, I can be like, Hanalei, is that confusing? Well, this is what I feel when I look like this is what I'm saying. And this is what it feels like. And you kind of walk her through some of these scenarios as practice. But isn't that fascinating?
It's like fascinating and also makes me feel
sad.
So sad for these kids. And that's how I feel about people who do too much Botox.
Yes. Ooh, another subject I love to talk about.
No, it's like because you have this like unreasonable desire to never grow old, no humans around you will be able to see you emote, including your children. It seems highly unreasonable to me.
And it seems like a big risk for the reward.
Yeah, and like, listen, I don't begrudge, like women looking and feeling their best, but this place we've gotten to where like everyone's freezing. I'm like, when did the beauty goal become a completely frozen, emotionless face? Who decided that? And can I talk to them?
Right.
Because when you look at the ultimate beauty that like they told us, let's say even the Disney princesses, right? That was like, oh my God. All they did was emote. They had huge eyes and their eyebrows, and they always moved all the time at everything. Mm-hmm. Beauty is animation. It's your insides out. What are you feeling? Are you excited? Is there a sparkle in your eye? The same way Hanalei needed to read the cues. We as adults, we also have to read. We have to read cues. So it's like, why is everyone frozen? That's weird. And also, do you not want people to know you're happy?
Well, this is my question. And I've talked about this a lot because I actually happen to have huge grooves and wrinkles on my forehead. And I can't say that it's never triggering. Sometimes I'm like, I'm 40 years old. Like, look what's going on my forehead. It's intense. But who decided that that was bad?
Bad. No, I know.
Like, why are we so afraid of the wrinkles? Like, and I did a little monologue about this. I'm like, aren't you proud of your face and the things that it's been through? And I mean, I had a lot of pushback on that. And I had a lot of people tell me like, I could be proud of my face and not have the wrinkles,
We'll have the discourse right now.
Yeah, I don't begrudge that. Like everyone gets to, right? Everyone has a different opinion. Everyone gets to decide what their thing that is their trigger or that they don't want or that they think is beautiful. But I think as a society, what are we doing? Like, why are we going in that direction? And what's the most fascinating to me is that we have this huge influx of wellness and non-toxic living. And yet
we're sicker than ever.
But then those same people are also doing Botox.
Yeah. A lot of them are not. Now, a lot of women who are like, and well, who knows? It's hard to know what anyone's doing anymore. Everyone's lying about it. But yeah, there is a huge dichotomy there. I also had like a download about the whole toxicity thing, like a real download about like, because I had been spiraling about health, wellness, toxicity. And there's a huge gap in that whole wellness industry market and the women doing a lot of neurotoxins and poisonous things. I think it's likened to, different people, like religious people that pick and choose their level of religion. It's like, well, I guess, this is how they choose to serve God. Like, we can't question it. I feel like that's where they choose to be non-toxic, but I hear you.
But I do think there is a continuum, right? There's a continuum of non-toxic living, and it's very overwhelming. Honestly, like I've had meltdowns about it all the time because I'm so drawn to it, but then I get overwhelmed and it's like, it's never enough. You're never going to be able to do it all. And it becomes so impossible.
And I'm sure you heard the new study that the
glass bottles.
It's from the cap. It's from the cap.
Oh, well, maybe they should say that.
They did. When you twist the caps, basically, there's like often like stuff on the caps and it falls into the glass. So basically, you have to just be careful about what kind of cap you have in your glass bottle. But the glass bottles themselves are not more toxic. But wait, hear me out, because this was my download.
Okay, let me hear.
We've actually never been more healthy, lived longer, and had a more sterile environment than we do right now. You're telling me our ancestors, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, people in the Industrial Revolution had a cleaner, more sterile life than we do? No way.
Mm-hmm.
It came in different forms and different things. We didn't used to have seatbelts. Every generation goes through their levels of extreme toxicity and whatever that means for them. I mean, people went through Chernobyl.
Yes.
But if you genuinely look at our day to day, we live so sterilely and so clean and so healthy.
Right.
And so the best thing you could do is just like chill out and enjoy, because the stress hormones will kill you faster than the microplastic.
Absolutely.
That's what they came to. And like, so now I'm like, whatever, I'm going to have fun again.
You know what? I think that's a great approach because, first of all, having fun is the most important. And second of all, I think we have to have that critical thinking. Risk versus reward. What is your best bet, your biggest bang for your buck to live a healthy life? I heard a rheumatologist discussing this on a podcast, and it was very, very helpful information. She's like, okay, what is the thing that you consume the most that would be really beneficial for you to look out for? Your water, right? Water is something that we're 85% water, whatever. And it's also not non-accessible. Like you can get a water filter for very inexpensive.
Right.
So instead of focusing on like all these tiny little things, like why don't you just start with focusing on like what's the water that you're drinking? Because that is big bang for your buck. What's fascinating to me is that I've heard people talk about nobody that anyone would know. So I'm not calling anybody out. But I've heard people talk about like being worried about the type of leggings they're wearing while they're exercising because of toxicity, but then choose to do Botox, right?
Water is, I would say you're dead on. That's probably the most.
Right.
That's the first one to start. And also most filtered water is kind of like garbage. It's really like your city's water with a ton of chemicals. So just get a good system in your house, or any system in your house.
And also like they make them much more, they used to be not so accessible. They're accessible now. Like so
you could put them in the like on your tap and you're good to go.
Yeah. So I think it also became such an industry and such a like non-toxic plastics.
Well, they're preying on people's biggest insecurities, which is death. We don't want to die. We want to live a long time. We don't want to be sick. And they convince us if we don't obsess about it, we will be sick, because if we obsess about it, we're going to buy every damn clean thing they sell. And it's working.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like, just choose one thing that is something that you engage with a lot all the time and can have a big effect. And water, air. Yeah. And also being in a completely sterile environment isn't good for you either.
Right.
I actually just heard something really fascinating. I have a friend who's an Ayurveda practitioner. So Ayurveda is like Indian medicine. And I've adapted a lot of those practices into my life for my health. And I've seen a lot of positive change. And I was talking to her the other day, and she told me something so fascinating and so logical, but like I've never heard it being presented in that way. She's like, in Ayurveda culture, suppressing urges is a opening for disease. So like if you suppress cough, sneeze, you have to go to the bathroom. Any suppression that your body wants to eliminate and you're holding in is it's so unhealthy. Isn't that fascinating?
I really align with that thought process.
It's like people who go to work and don't have access to the bathroom when they need it.
Yep.
Or like you're embarrassed to cough or sneeze. any of those those bodily functions that we're meant to do to eliminate.
Same with depression. Depression is the opposite of expression. It's like something is trapped.
Yeah. So I just was like, wow. But like, and it makes so much sense, but like having it heard in that like such a clear way, suppressing the urge to do something that your body needs to do.
Yeah.
Is so powerful.
And I think that's like what's so interesting in the difference between Eastern and Western medicine or alternative medicine is like, I think often Western medicine scoffs so heavily at Eastern because it's like, oh, you believe, if you hold in a sneeze that you could, but what they fail to realize is that it's so much more metaphoric and it's so much more big picture, which is like you look at the higher emotive, what is the emotive thing behind the physical response? And Western rather, would always just like to rather offer you a pill because it's much easier than taking a look at your life. And that sums up Eastern and Western culture in the way that they approach health and wellness and disease.
Yeah, 100%. And by the way, under suppression is like if you want to cry and you suppress that or laugh or whatever. And I don't know. It's fascinating. And I think I've always been a very curious person and I want to know. I want to know, can I apply everything to my life? No. Does it get overwhelming sometimes? No. I've said this before. My therapist has cut me off from books and reading. He's like, you're done. Now you just, it's back to like existing and being.
Like you can't be an eternal student.
Yeah. And also it is a little bit like you could use it as a distraction to actually do the work.
Totally.
Constantly like, oh, what's the next and best thing? But how about actually you embody some of these things that you've been working on?
What was the last book you ended on?
That's a really good question. I can tell you a book that I really appreciated and learned so much from was a book called The Comfort Crisis.
Ooh, okay.
Michael Easter, he's also a good follow if you're on. It's a book about how we've been conditioned to be comfortable and we set our environment to optimal comfort, the temperatures in our home and everything, and how that has set us up for very low tolerance and capacity. And he talks about how to get outside, go outdoors, push your physical comfort zone. And when you push your physical comfort zone, your emotional comfort zone really grows. So he has some extreme examples because he's like the guy who's going 3 months in Alaska, that kind of thing. But he does make it practical. And it's the concepts that are so back to basics, but you need to hear them because we've lost them.
I totally can. I want to read that because I like that topic.
I highly recommend this book.
Okay.
Our dream is to have him on the podcast, but he doesn't answer any of my messages. So
not yet. Not yet.
Because he's just so cool and he thinks so uniquely and out of the box for our generation, but really going back to, well, as humans, what were we designed to do? He's the one that I think really brought to the forefront again, like the carrying, the walking and the carrying. And that like, he's like, you could spend all your time in the gym, bulking up your muscles and doing all these weightlifting, but then you're out in the wilderness and guess what?
You can't do anything. You have no survival skills.
You can't do anything because you can't lift, you can't run, you can't carry heavy things, you can't crawl. So he talks a lot about that kind of stuff. And I find it was one of my favorite books. And since then I'm like, I'm ending on that.
That's a good one to end. I love that. I'm going to read that. I'm interested in that.
I read it and I can't wait to hear your thoughts about it. I really think that you'll like it. And he always comes in with these like hot takes. Yeah. He's the one that I posted before. He was like, we talk about superfoods, right? What's a superfood? And everyone talks about these obscure things that are hard to access, that are expensive, that are obscure. Yeah. He's like, you want to know what a real superfood is? Potato. A potato is a superfood.
And I love potato.
It's a superfood, not French fries, but potato.
Exactly.
Like
in its original form.
Yes, it has calories, it has nutrients, it keeps you full, it has all the things you need. And so just things like that like make you think, turn around your thinking like, no, a goji berry, very nice, it's healthy for you, but who's eating goji berries every day and who has access?
I tried to eat goji berries. It's hard to eat them. I'd rather a potato.
Yeah.
But they do say that the ancient like Aztecs use them to build like the Mayan temples because
Yeah.
they're so rich in like nutrient,
And they
everything you
are,
possibly
but
need.
his point was it can't be a superfood if it's not accessible to everybody.
I 100% agree with that. And the comfort thing. And that's so crucial. And I actually, I'm so glad that you just mentioned that book because I've been thinking about that in general.
Yes. I'll actually also put it in the show notes because it's such a great book. Okay. So coming full circle.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking time to just be. I love it. I think we all need to do that in any way that you know how to. And what do you have to look forward to in the next little while?
In a week from today, I'm heading to Europe, and I'm very excited about that because I really tried to unplug this year. I think I'm going to unplug more than years in the past. And I get to have a more macro view of my life. You get to like be out of all the chaos and really observe things. My summer trip is something I really look forward to and I need. It's a way for me to recharge. I give a lot of my energy to a lot of people every day. When you're a manifesting generator, a lot of people plug into you. Like they plug in, everyone's charging.
You're everybody's energy source.
I'm a Tesla charger.
Because I feel it.
So like I need to go recharge my battery.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to. And ideally, continuing to,
create in whatever way comes your way.
And I'm working very slowly, nothing crazy, but I'm working on a book that I eventually
yes.
Yeah.
Is this a coffee table book?
It's going to be like a coffee table book, but it just have like some interesting, like there'll be musings and photos, thoughts, maybe some little like poetry and just all different kinds. Might even be a little short story, but with beautiful pictures associated.
I love that.
More than just pictures, it will be something very special. And I work on that, but I'm not giving myself a crazy deadline on that. I also think the book will be as good as I let my life evolve into it,
Ooh, yes.
So working on that and running a household, raising children, doing work for my other businesses that I invest in. And I'm also like a new wife. I've been married less than a year. So
how is it this time around? Like what feels different?
This is definitely the one.
Yeah.
It feels like coming home. It's so beautiful. And we don't live together. We live in two different places right now, but it's such a grounding force in my life that the distance is not a factor because we're very connected and it's a grounding relationship no matter where I am. So it feels just, again, it's something so lovely to experience.
Yeah.
Especially because the first time I got married, I was so young. And by the way, have deep and profound love for both of my ex-husbands, and they're wonderful. They were wonderful partners and children.
And I know you've spoken about, that's why I didn't spend so much time on it, because you've spoken about that part of your experience.
Yeah. Nothing negative to say. Sometimes like journeys end and that's it. But it feels different when you really know that this is your thing. Yes. And so it's been really lovely. And we joke, because we're older and it's not a first marriage. You sometimes catch yourself feeling like guilty, like we're newlyweds, but we are newlyweds. We are.
Yeah. And so even more so, like when you've experienced it, if you have more than once, and it's just like, you get to really experience it in a way that's truly feels.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
I liken it to like, when you have children when you're super, super young versus you have like your last baby or whatever. Like, I just feel like you have a different experience from when
it's so crazy.
I was a bebe. So I didn't appreciate marriage as the same way I appreciate marriage now because I'm older, in the same way you wouldn't appreciate your marriage when you were first married.
1,000%. And I talk about this all the time. I'm like, I tell my husband this all the time and he doesn't want to hear it. But I'm like, I want a baby when I'm 40 because it's such a different experience. Like you're chill, you're not anal and worried about all these stupid things that you don't have to be worried about. Like, the ropes. It's such a dream of mine. And it's like actually really hard for me to, and I've also been blessed with many friends who've had their babies, like they're
later in LIL, later in life.
They're later in life, like last hurrah babies. And I'm just like, so happy for them. And I'm like, I want that too.
Oh my God, totally can appreciate you wanting that.
Yeah. And my husband's like, are you crazy? He's like, do you see what is going on in our house on a daily basis? Like, what in your right mind? Like, why would that cross your mind? He cannot, the life of me, understand where I'm coming from. Not one drop.
Because you're just going to, like, I mean, listen, I'm not brave enough to do it now. I'm 40. But I do think to myself, like you, I'm like, wow, I would be such a different human now. And there's something but you have to be very brave. I also have friends with later in life. You're so brave.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is a thing. It is to have a baby at 40 and your energy is not the same. Your stamina is not the same. You're in a different place in your life. So not to say it's not challenging, but there's something so sweet. Yeah. And how you're describing like your marriage later, it's like, you've been around the block a couple times, like you know what to appreciate. And so how often do you guys spend together in the same?
Every other 10 days, one of us will be on a plane. Admittedly, he did a bulk of from January till now because I basically kind of said, I just can't do so much of the flying because I was getting sick a lot from the flying so much.
Yeah.
And then when I stopped flying, actually started to get healthier again. But I think a lot of the reason I was sick a lot this year, which is unusual for me. I have a robust immune system. It's like I was on a lot of planes.
Yeah.
And they're very, very dirty. I call them like fart tubes in the sky.
Yeah.
So
when you think about it, it's pretty gross.
It's actually like radiation.
Yes.
And then you're breathing everyone's like air. So like, I'm just like, I'm not trying to do that. So he did a big bulk, but every 10 days, we see each other, no matter what, wherever we are in the world, whatever we're doing every 10 days. Yeah. Right now we're going 2 weeks because we have a big bulk of summer coming. But
right.
10 days typically. And our time together is intentional and we get to like actually spend, and then we go back to our lives and we come back and it works for now.
Yeah, for now. And it's an ever evolving situation, but I love that you found, like, it's really cool when people find things that work for them that aren't conventional, that aren't the norm. And it's like, it's okay. Like, like we don't have to do it the same way everybody else does it.
No. And I got to say, I really don't want to, because I look around at a lot of my married friends and I'm like, I really like my way.
Yeah. And not to say it's for everybody, but
it won't be forever. But for right now, while I have to be here with Lila and he has like work things, but it won't be like this forever. But for right now it is. And we're making it an adventure.
Yeah. Well, have so much fun on your summer adventure. I know that sometimes you give us little glimpses into it, and I know we all love that. Are you going to any new locations this year, or you're doing something?
So we'll be doing the English countryside and Greece, which I've never done. We've never done with him.
Yeah.
And then we'll be doing Chianti, but also something new we're doing this year is outside of Greece, no hotels. We're only staying in like authentic experiences where we have to like actually cook and clean ourselves. We're sick of hotels. I got the ick. I don't want. So we are doing everything very like in the villages with the people, and that's the way we want to do it. So
that's going to be so fun. And you're going to have a lot to share, I'm sure. So if you choose to share it, or maybe you'll share it when you get back. You never know.
Exactly. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how I feel.
Yeah.
But
Well, enjoy and have so much fun. And thank you I know you're leaving this week, right? Or next week?
Yeah, like a week from today, a week from yesterday, a week.
Well, thank you so much for being here and giving me such a nice chunk of your time.
I love this. And I'm so excited for you. And I'm predicting great success. I'm excited for you. And I'm glad you did it. Yes.
Thank you. And you're someone that I think I told before I made it public, and I always looked up to the way that you did things. And it was very scary, and you were so encouraging and gracious about it. And that really meant a lot. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad you did it. Thank you for having me.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. I think it's really fun. We're all human. We all love to know what makes people tick, the decisions they make, especially people who show up online and we see what they show us on different varying levels. But I think it's really special, and I appreciate so much when somebody who does have a public persona, who does show up online, can peel away a little bit of those layers and really share what's going on for them and the push and pull and the struggles that people in the public space do contend with and do face. And I love the way Adele was just so vulnerable and so open and honest with us and shared with us her evolution of really coming through sharing her life with us. She also was able to really understand and show up in her own life in the way that she wants to. And that's an evolving journey. Guys, like, we're human. Sometimes we're in a space that we feel like, yes, I want to share and I'm open and vibrant and have the energy. And sometimes it's the more quiet, introspective, like inner work that is the season. And I just really encourage people who are consumers to always keep that in mind and pay attention and give grace to the people that you're watching. I think there's a lot of, this is like a whole discussion onto itself, which we have touched upon before, but I think there's a lot of maybe looking down upon or judgment because people who show up online give people opportunity to judge them, right? So we share a little bit of our lives, and then there's so much room for judgment. And before you just go to quick judgments, like, remember that the people behind the camera are human. The people behind the camera are most of the time, I would say, not, we have good intentions and are sharing, yes, because we love to, but also because we find the value and you find the value and you ask for it. So I think it's just, this industry is not going anywhere. It really isn't. It just keeps evolving and changing. And I think the relationship between the consumer and the creator can be really beautiful, but also takes pause and takes care and takes some just like grace. We all deserve grace. And I think the way that Adele spoke about what inspired her to share, what bothered her about how this process works, what she didn't want to be a part of and didn't want to contribute to, is all very admirable and is a lot of food for thought. And it really impacted me as well. So always share your thoughts. We'd love to hear your review on the episode, questions that might have come up for you, questions for me, questions for Adele. This is a relationship. We give and take, we share. I share with you, you can come share with me, and I love what we're creating here. So as I am here recording this outro, summer is 2/3 finished, right? We're in the beginning of August. And my kids go back to school September 2nd. So we have almost a full month left. We are leaving on a family trip in a few days. Let's talk about the fact that I have not packed at all. It's been a really busy week. I had family visiting, and it's the best. When you have family visiting, my sister was visiting with her family, and we had such a good time. It was so nice. We live so far from each other, and it was so nice to really just have that quality time. And yesterday we went to Yellowstone. Guys, I live in Bozeman, Montana for almost 18 and a half years. I do not get sick of Yellowstone. I love it. I can't always go with every guest that comes, depending on when that is. But when I can, I love to go. And I love to go with people who are either seeing it for the first time or haven't been in a while. And just to see just the wonder and the beauty is one of my favorite things. So we left at 8:30 in the morning, and Yellowstone is so big that you can't do everything. Not by any means. So you have to kind of pick the things that you want to do and plan your day. Regardless of what you do, if you're spending one day in Yellowstone, in my opinion and in my experience, it's a 12, 13-hour day. So we left around 8:30, 8:45 in the morning, which was very admirable considering we were 3 families going together. We got out, we made dinner the night before, we were organized, and we we went. There is no service in the park. There are certain spots that have service if you have a normal phone, but my phone didn't work at all. I had no service for 13 hours, which made it a little difficult to communicate between cars because our first stop, I was like, okay, we're going to stop at Mammoth and we're going to regroup. Except that where in Mammoth, I left a message, but no one got the message. And it took us a few minutes to like find each other. And after that, we were very careful in being like, okay, either we're driving like a train together or we know exactly which parking lot we're meeting in. So we really had to be organized around that. We talked about next time having like walkie-talkies. Like we need walkie-talkies to just stay connected because the park is so big. So we started off in Mammoth, and obviously like I can't give you a full guided tour on this podcast, but some of our favorite spots are the Grand Canyon at Yellowstone with the falls. We did this hike called the Brink of the Lower Falls, which you walk down. It's pretty steep, but it's not a long hike. And you basically get to stand on the edge of the falls. And it is so beautiful. Like you are literally on top of the fall, like listening to that rushing of the waterfall. There's like these gorgeous rainbows. There's the river below going between the canyon. It's breathtaking. I don't know how else to describe it. And I posted some pictures on Instagram, but like there is nothing like being there, feeling the sounds, like the energy. It's just glorious. And that's one of my favorite spots. And then the Grand Prismatic Springs is another highlight. It's the colors, the phenomenons, like the bubbling mud, the steam, the sulfuric acid, the water. Like it's just mind blowing. We actually, at a certain point we were walking, it's like, it feels like you're on the moon. Certain points feel like you're on Mars and certain sections feels like you're on the moon. It's like otherworldly. And so if you appreciate nature and appreciate, it's not only beauty, but it's just like these natural phenomenons that are so cool. And I feel so lucky to be in a place that it's so accessible. We've been to Yellowstone, I don't know, over 50 times. We usually go off season because we have the ability to not go with the crowds. And so if you don't have to, like, why would you choose to go in high season? But when we have guests who are coming in the summer, like we go in high season too. It's really actually pretty doable. It's not that bad. There are people, there are crowds. Yes, it's a tourist attraction, but I think there's a difference between like a tourist attraction that's just like random and a tourist attraction that is Hashem's wonders and nature. So even if there's a lot of people going, in my opinion, it doesn't take away from the beauty and the awesomeness of it. So we did all these different stops. We went at the end of the day to a picnic area and we had dinner and it was great. And we're getting ready to leave. And I'm not going to name names. You're never going to guess anyway. But somebody's phone ended up in the recycling bin. Guys, it's this like huge metal bin, huge, with like a little hole on top for you to put your recycling in. This phone ends up in this recycling bin by mistake. And it's not, the recycling bin isn't full. So it goes all the way down to the bottom, like on top of a bunch of cans. And you can't reach it. You can't, there's like no maneuver room. And I am there with my sister and my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law is like, okay, we're going to try to get it out, which is unbelievable to begin with, because I would have been like, there's no way this is getting out. We're leaving. It was a 45-minute project, and we still had to do a 2-hour drive home, but I cannot believe that he did it. He took 2 really long sticks, and we tried a whole bunch of different stuff. Nothing was really working. And then he took like these 2 sticks. Then he's like, he threw a bag, like a backpack, into the bin. And then he's like, if I can get the phone into the backpack and then pull the backpack up on the strap with a stick, then I can do it. I mean, I would never even have thought of that. God, he did it. Like 30 minutes in, I'm like, we're just not going to get this phone. Like, we just have to write it off. But in the end, he ended up getting the phone into this backpack and bringing the backpack up with a stick I mean, it was incredible. And these are the types of things, like, these like mishaps that like in the moment you're like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? But that will be a memory forever. Like, we are going to talk about that for a long time. And truly, I was really, really proud of everybody, including myself. I didn't lose it. I could have lost it. I almost lost it, but I didn't. And I stayed really calm. And the kids were great. They ended up having a dance party with music, turning on the music loud in the parking lot, and they were dancing away and they were having fun. Did we get home later? We did. Were the kids a little bit more crankier once we got home? Perhaps. But in the end, it was such an adventure that added kind of a unique aspect to this trip. You just got to embrace these things and just lean in, because there's always going to be something. If you're traveling with a family, there will be something. So just expect it. Anyways, we got home around 9:00. Beautiful drive home. It's just so cool because we live an hour and a half from the park, but even the drive to the park is just so magnificent that it's part of the trip. So I really recommend Yellowstone. I mean, I really probably shouldn't, because the parks are so full anyway. So it's like, I shouldn't be promoting and encouraging people to come, but I'm not going to like keep it as like, it's not a secret. You guys know about Yellowstone, but it's truly one of Hashem's wonders. And again, you know what I'm going to say. There's beauty everywhere. Just open your eyes and look for it. And then there are the places that are just a step above. And to me, every time I go to Yellowstone, I have a different experience. I see different things. And even if I go to the same things, like the Grand Prismatic Springs never looks the same. The way the steam goes and the way the colors are, and depending on the weather, like it never looks the same. It's always like a brand new experience. And that is my Yellowstone recap. So now I have a very big Shabbos to prepare for. I have lots of tourists. The week after Tisha B'Av is usually one of the busiest weeks. And then Shabbos, and then Monday we leave on a trip. I am not packed. Guys, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but it's going to happen. It's going to come together. We're going to get organized, and I cannot wait for our family trip. It's been a long summer. This is something that's been keeping me motivated and excited. And I know traveling with the family is so hard. And there's going to be moments, I'm already expecting them, that my husband and I are going to look at each other and we're going to be like, why in the world do we choose to do this? Like, we did this, like we're choosing. And sometimes it gets really overwhelming. But in the end, I know that these moments pass, and overall, the trips are just incredible. We make so many memories. We bond together as a family. I was just talking to one of my kids and explaining to them like why we choose to do these trips. And when you live like my family on Shlichus, which is a very service, public-facing life, and it's a calling, and we love it, and we dedicate our lives to it. But it's a lot, and it's very, very hard to stay focused and not be pulled in many different directions. And there are multiple times a year where we try to like come together and focus on just the family without any distractions. And it's very, very hard to do that and stay in Bozeman, because there will be always something that comes up. But when we leave, and the intention is just to focus on the family and the kids and the bonding, there's going to be fighting, and it's not going to be hard, and it's going to be messy. Guys, it's going to be messy. But family bonding is messy. It's meant to be. But at least it's intentional, it's focused, and that's what we're doing. And it's so important. I think it's important for every family, but especially if you're living a life that is very busy and in the service industry and you're in service, it's really important to remember to come and focus on the family and have some quality time together. And that's why we travel. That's why we do it. And we love to have adventure, and we love to see the world. And so it makes for a great experience. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm excited to fill you in on our trip. I'm sure I will have lots to share, and see you next time. Okay, so this podcast does not happen by itself. The magic takes a whole group of amazing people, and I want to tell you who those people are. So obviously I'm your host, Chavie. Our producer and creative director is Eli Ben Chion. He keeps me on my toes, He makes sure that I just keep growing and am on point and don't miss a beat. He's the best. Audio is edited and mixed by Reed Seeley. Also, unbelievable. He's so cool, calm, and collected. You kind of need that working with me. And the music, which is beautiful, is by Basia Schechter and Shaul Magid. And this is totally unexpected.